Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin Lemmy.
Man, it's good to see everybody. It's been a while since we've been able to just all get together.
Yeah, Memorial Day and jobs and
The end of the school
stuff.
year, graduations.
Yeah.
Enough
Yeah.
stress to kill an elephant.
We've all been busy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it is. I know how it is. And a lot's been happening with each one of us have been doing different things. I know that Matt, it's good to see you. You've been focused on some things and now you're working on your home lab, right?
Yeah, so when I was going through my unemployment phase, fun employment,
Unemployment, yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll try putting the home lab back together. Um, and I had tried kind of a couple of different ways, but the iteration I have settled on, I haven't pushed anything to my home lab yet. I've got three machines. One has a ton of storage in it, and the other two are just, beefier workstation machines. But I've been doing a ton of coding for it. Actually, I decided this time instead of trying to touch and do everything, I'm playing with Terraform and Ansible. So I've been building a whole bunch of Terraform scripts and playbooks, getting Ansible set up, uh, putting in all the variables and the instructions. I haven't hit go yet, but ideally when this is done, I'll have everything uploaded to GitLab so I can share it. But ideally when I have everything coded the way I want, I'm able to just hit go and it will deploy it to all three of these machines for the setup that I want. And then if I want to make changes or add stuff in the future, I just add additional files and playbooks to it. It's been a really good learning experience. I've only wanted to throw my laptop at the wall twice, which is a marked improvement from last time where I said something and ChatGPT came back with, okay, I understand. While I might be an AI, remember, Matt, words can hurt.
No, it didn't. Did it really?
Apparently, if you drop enough F-bombs on ChatGPT because it keeps forgetting something, it might take offense to it. I wiped out the entirety of my AI goodwill in a 5-minute rage-fueled type fest. And at that point, my wife was like, maybe we should try this a different way.
You're gonna be the first to go when the AI takes over.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I don't want to stick around for the Terminator saga. Just take me out in the front.
It's kind of interesting because we think about this. There was a study not long ago about parents that are trying to teach their kids to be more polite to AI. Now, you don't have to be polite to the clerk at the store, but hey, with your AI, say please, say thank you, and all of that. And they're working on that to get their kids to be, more respectful. And, I've had people I've talked to who said, oh, yeah, my AI is a buddy. They think it's their buddy. They feel like they're having a conversation with it and it's, saying, hey, you're doing a great job. I love what you're doing. And they've told me that, yeah, if you kind of feel like my AI is my buddy. And I said,
Which
no,
is
y-
which is funny because Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI, actually he was in an interview I want to say like a month or two ago, and he actually told people stop saying please and thank you to the AI. It cost like pleases and thank yous are costing millions of dollars every single time. It is an AI.
Good.
You do not need to be polite to it. And I was like, my brother in technology, have you watched any dystopian movie? Any of
right.
them.
Yep, yep.
Like, I do not need my Roomba becoming sentient and being like, hey, you remember that time you kicked me out of the way? I do.
And thus
Have
that's
fun
why I,
falling down those stairs.
yeah, I've armed myself with little razor blades.
We actually named our Roomba Dobby because you always get like the alerts. And when we named it that, you get the alerts. It's like, Dobby is stuck on a curtain. Dobby has fallen down the stairs. And I'm like, Dobby's an idiot.
What is the worst? Because we've seen AI develop, and I know we've talked about Grok, which Justin has been using, and I don't know if you're still liking it. A lot can change in a month. In 1 month, you could go from loving an AI, loving a software, and then you can hate it like the month later. Are you still using Grok?
Yeah, I use it every single day. I still love it. I mean, I bounce back and forth between other ones, ChatGPT and Actually, it's funny that you mentioned, how you love it one day and don't. ChatGPT, for me, it feels like ChatGPT got rolled back to a
Right.
previous, a much, much, much earlier previous iteration because it does not give anywhere near the answers it used to.
Right.
And that's, I mean, that's saying a lot. I mean, OpenAI is supposedly the biggest one out there, but when I go to Grok and I ask it something, and I love the fact that Grok does not have any um limits on its knowledge base.
Right.
Like I could literally just say, "What's the temperature in Tokyo right now?" and it will tell me the temperature in Tokyo. Like it's real
Right.
time data.
Yeah.
Whereas ChatGPT is like,
Well, my cutoff is September of 2024.
Does it really do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't had it do that to me yet.
yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And then even if you ask it something like, hey, who, what historical battle took place in World War II at this place?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I can't give you that answer.
The only thing I've had that is when I'm doing like music research or something about an artist, and they say like the artist is dead, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, and I'll look at another source. I say, no, that artist has not died, and it will say, thank you, you are correct.
And
Uh,
then you ask it again, and it'd be like, yeah, that artist passed away 10 years ago. Again, do you not understand what I'm telling you? What
well,
would you like to ask me next? Like, it's so dumb.
well, I'm kind of wondering, what would you consider when it comes to not being very knowledgeable to being probably one of the lowest when it comes to AI? Because I mean, Amazon is now pushing this smarter Alexa. So
Rufus.
yeah, if you want to use that, you can. Rufus, as far as
Amazon
shopping, has
is.
been terrible. I,
Amazon is way too late to the party. First off, their AI is gonna fail.
Apple Intelligence.
Apple intelligence is gonna fail. It's gonna ruin Apple. I mean, thank God, finally something's gonna ruin
well,
Apple.
and this is what
Uh,
just a few days ahead of their worldwide developer conference. That's going to be their big thing.
Yeah, of course, it has been their big thing for the past 4 years, and it sucks every single time.
They've done nothing. They've done nothing with it.
Yeah,
It's
and
it was like, hey, Apple Intelligence came out. They said, hey, it's going to be. They touted it like it's going to be just like ChatGPT. It's going to be able to do all these things, and they rolled it out with iOS 18, and it stunk.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
stunk.
but
I mean, I tried it for like a day, and then immediately turned it. It's just off. It's just not even on my phone anymore.
yeah, I mean, Microsoft Copilot sucks. Meta,
I
sucks.
avoid Copilot. I don't know why. I just wanna
everybody,
avoid it.
everybody
Well, they
avoids.
keep trying. They keep trying to jam it down your throat though. Every
Yeah.
time you launch,
just like
Edge or
Clippy.
they just try to jam it in there.
I never thought
Just-
of that.
just
It's
like
You're
Clippy.
right. It's just like Clippy. Remember when you tried to use Office? Clippy was always there, and that's kind of like
Looks like you're trying to make an Excel spreadsheet. Would you like help? No.
Or
get
or
away.
like the puppy in Windows XP.
Yeah.
Windows XP
No,
puppy,
the
I don't
dog.
remember that.
The dog
Look.
that always pops up and
I remember that one.
There was
Look.
a dog.
Yes, there was a dog.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Look, we've got three major players in the AI industry.
All right.
We've got ChatGPT, OpenAI. We got XAI's Grok, and we got the Claude. I forget
Oh, yeah.
the company that makes Claude. I just heard about them
Anthropic.
earlier.
Isn't it Anthropic?
Yeah, Anthropic. Yeah,
Anthropic, yeah.
Anthropic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the three major ones. Everybody else, even the major tech players, Meta, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, they all losing like big time. But here's an example of something that I did with Grok. I recently went to it and I asked it a simple question. Now, I'm not going to get into the details. It's more of a personal situation. But I asked it a question about my cat.
Oh.
And it referenced something and says, well, based on what you told me about 7 months ago, it sounds like your cat might have, this issue or whatever.
Oh wow.
And it's learning from me and it knows my previous conversations with it. Whereas OpenAI, you're like, hey, remember I talked to you about my cat? It has blah, blah. And it's like, wait, what cat? What? I don't understand. What are you talking about? Like XAI's Grok is by far my favorite, and it is the best AI out there. Although I'm not going to really get into it, but the politics, the media, they're like, wow, it's owned by Elon Musk. We must not talk about this one. It must be bad.
Oh, that's Grok? Yeah, that's Grok, right? Yeah.
Well, OpenAI just recently made a change exactly regarding what Justin is talking about. The memories were tied to each individual thread. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to like have a project, you had to put everything in that one project for it to reference it all there. They just made memories global to your account.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
now it will start remembering everything. The one I've got beef with is Gemini, Google's,
Right. Google
Okay.
Gemini.
Yeah, I forgot about Gemini. Yes.
because I used to love the Google Assistant on my phone.
I
And
still
it
do.
was
Yeah.
and I got forced over to Gemini. And the other day I was like, hey, set a 1 hour timer. It used to be all I had to do on my phone was, say the trigger phrase, which I'm not because it's right here and it'll yell at me. And I was like, hey, set a 1 hour timer. Comes back a few seconds later. I found a website where you can set timers to remind you. No, you turd. You've got it in the system.
I
Just
don't
set
have
a
that
one.
problem with mine. I say the same thing and it does it.
And then I thought it was like maybe it was a goof. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, set a 1 hour timer. And it was like, again, I found a great website. And I was like, I am too angry today
There's a
for
setting in your
you to be
phone.
pulling this.
There's a setting in your phone that you need to turn off that tells it to search Gemini or search the web first
Yeah.
when you give it a command.
I had something similar once when I was driving and I needed it to call a number for me. And I asked, and Gemini popped up, and it was like like the totally wrong people. And I was like, wait a minute, what happened to the regular assistant? And I realized that something got screwed up in some update, and it ended up taking care of itself and fixed it. And I got my regular assistant back. I would not want to use Gemini either. Definitely not. Rufus, let's go back to Rufus. Rufus, and I decided to give it a shot because been purchasing stuff to use for different projects I was doing, and I would ask Rufus, and every answer was like it knew nothing. It gave me no information, and I thought, okay, well, it's maybe I'm trying to help its learning, but it didn't seem like it was learning at all. So yeah, no, I'm not a fan of Rufus. Like you said, Amazon was late to the game on this one. Do we really need it? I mean, I'm getting sick of the point. Just recently, Lee Van Cleef. Do you guys remember Lee Van Cleef? Lee Van Cleef was an actor. He worked with Clint Eastwood, who's still with us at just recently.
Oh,
survived
yeah.
95. And he had this real, tough looking face.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Good, bad,
Yeah.
good, bad, and the
Yeah.
ugly or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know which one he was.
died 3 years after I was born.
Yes. Somebody posted a photo of him.
So Shawn probably does not remember him.
Shawn, you need to watch some of the good, the bad, the Italian westerns. They called them spaghetti westerns, which were great. But somebody posted a photo of him the other day on Facebook, celebrating his 101st birthday, holding a birthday cake. And I thought, damn. And then I realized, wait a minute. And people started saying it. He died back, like you said, Shawn, and
85, 86, 87,
89.
89,
89, okay, 89,
December
whatever.
16th, 89.
I was getting there.
people are posting a photo of him supposedly at 101. The photo looks somewhat realistic, but it still has that uncanny valley. But the fact is, people will just look at it and assume, oh, yeah, that's real. People need to stop using AI for everything.
Now, not only that, but Matt mentioned Gemini. Gemini's now's got this new VO3 or Vivo 3 or whatever it is. It's the video generation one. Did you see the post on Reddit about how churches are now using the video stuff to appeal to a younger audience? And it's literally AI, a video of, like, for instance, one example, Moses splitting the seas, and he's walking around doing a selfie, and he's like, yeah, I split the
Are you
seas
kidding
right
me?
here,
Oh,
and we're crossing the desert right now. And then there's another one with Jesus on the cross. He's like, yo, your GOAT
No.
is about to be BRB. Or like David is like, yo, it's your boy David right here. I'm about to go fight Goliath. Yeah, I'm gonna get this guy. And they're using AI video to do this.
To
And
hope to reach a younger audience.
Yeah, but I mean, it's telling these, these biblical stories, if you will. But that's just one example of it. There's so many of these videos out there that are being generated by AI, and people are thinking this is real, and
Yeah.
it's not real. But the thing is it's not just a video. The characters in the video are speaking.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Like you can't tell the difference.
and that's AI generated. It's not a voice actor.
No, it's just
all
AI.
everything is
Everything.
generated by AI. You know, and
Like,
I've seen some of the videos that have been posted that are feel good videos with Jesus and kids and pets, and those are like, okay, I understand it. It's AI, but when they're trying to do this whole like they're today talking in today's terms or listening to today's music, I'm like, come on, guys, you're pushing it a little too far.
Yeah, no, this you got to go out on Reddit and look up like I'll have to see if I can find it, but like church AI, church whatever.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I saw it earlier on Reddit and I was like, I watched it and I was like, wow, this is what we're getting into now.
Yeah. Oh boy. AI is so the worst, I think we all agree is probably going to be, is it going to be Apple? Is that going to be the worst one, do you think? Or is it the Alexa?
I think Rufus and Apple
Yeah.
Intelligence are currently they're both currently racing to mediocrity. Um, I mean, honestly, Apple Intelligence is so behind the curve on it, and Rufus is kind of the same way. Like they rested on their laurels. They were like, "We did Alexa. We did it first."
Dude, Apple is literally going to do what Apple does. They're going to wait for the biggest one to come out. They're going to copy it and they're going to add emojis to it and say, look at what we did. We made it so much better.
Right.
That's
Right.
what Apple does.
Well, iOS 26 for iPhone, they say next week, which is weird because I thought I just updated to 18.5 is what I have on mine.
Well, they're doing it now based on the year, kind of like Microsoft did with Windows 95, Windows 98. They're now jumping in. Honestly, I think it's just a way because there's just like people are going to sit there and go, wait, iOS 18 means it came out in 2018. Like I don't
1818.
understand. Yeah, well, I mean, that's
We'll have to
typical
just wait
Apple.
into the developers conference to kind of get an idea of maybe getting a hint at why they're changing the name structure.
Yeah.
But I know the next iteration of the OS is Tucson.
Oh, you're kidding me. Is it really? I thought it was going to be
That's what they're calling it. They're not naming it after
solar,
mountains
solar
anymore.
something or whatever.
I think they changed it
Oh boy.
to or Tahoe, not Tucson, Tahoe.
Yeah. Tahoe. Oh boy. I was going to say Tucson's a vehicle too. I don't know about that one. They're going to be doing it on Monday, this coming Monday, for those that are tuning in on this Saturday. And they say and they do this every year, every time they put out an update. They're saying it's the biggest ever software rebranding. One thing they're promising, though, longer battery life, going to be one of the key features, which I don't know.
Oh, so they're just not going to lock down the batteries anymore. Cool. Right on.
The biggest change ever since last year. They say it every single
I
time.
cannot wait. I can't wait till Apple just fails as a company. I
don't want
cannot
them to
wait.
fail.
No, I do. They
You
are just
do?
complete trash. Everything they do is trash.
Oh man, you're being harsh. I don't
No,
know.
dude, come on. You know me for how many years?
I know, but I got to say, I have an iPhone still.
Yeah,
It's my
well, you
main
should
phone. I went ahead and I went to Android after for you, Justin. You were talking about it being so good, and I do like the experience. I miss some of the Apple features a bit. I still trying to figure out, well, Belkin and that tracking device that they have will not work for the Android device. There is another device that does work that I want to get my hands on. So I don't know. I've been happy with it. I've been a long time user of that, but yeah, I don't want them to fail. But it's like, come on, guys, step up.
No,
You
they
know?
just they have not done anything since Steve Jobs died, and they never will.
No, it was,
They're done.
no, it was twofold. Steve Jobs died, Johnny Ives left.
Well, that
Johnny
was
Ive,
the
yeah.
final nail in the coffin right there.
Mhm.
You heard about that, right, Shawn?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm just riding along, man.
Yeah,
Like I don't.
Sean's an Apple user too. So
I'm
Well,
an
but
agnostic tech user. Like I could go one way or the other.
Well,
Like I'm not beholden to Apple.
there's listeners out there who do not know who Johnny Ives is. Matt, can you please give us a 30-second rundown on who Johnny Ives is,
Right.
where he went, and why this is a big deal for Apple?
Johnny Ives and his glorious British accent was so there. Steve Jobs was the original brains, so Steve Wozniak behind Apple. The point where Apple, for lack of a better term, got sexy Like when the devices had really started having these really clean flowing lines, and it wasn't like, let's do it in 50 different colors. That's going to appeal to people. I don't know why I went Kermit with that, but um, when they
Sounded very
started
British.
when they started moving to like aluminum and clean lines and the design became really important, that was all Johnny Ives. That was all him. He was like, we have the function, we are missing the form, and we need to bring the form into play. And their numbers just skyrocketed. And they are still riding the majority of his design styles, like the MacBook Air, the current MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, like that when you close the lid and the lines flow around so it still looks like a unified piece of metal, that was Johnny Ives. It was all him. And when he left, that is the Da Vinci of technological form design leaving the company. And it's just it hasn't been the same since.
Why
Like you
didn't they
had
keep up with his, his designs? Why did they feel they had to abandon it?
well, marketing departments exist for a reason.
Yeah.
And you'll usually get pressure of like, oh no, we need to change something. Like, even though we're changing the guts to the standard user, it doesn't look any different, so they don't know that it's different.
Yeah.
So he has left. I can't, Justin, do you remember where he went? I'm having a brain fart.
Yeah, OpenAI.
Which
really?
again,
He went to
not
OpenAI to do their hardware. Now OpenAI is going to get into hardware, which Apple's like shaking in their boots. That's why I'm telling you earlier, Apple is done.
I'm gonna make a prediction right now
All
in
right.
terms of that, where you're talking about they're gonna buy someone. I have a device that I did not leave in this room. Dang it.
You're looking for it.
There is a company called Rabbit, and they released a device at CES a couple of years ago, the R1, and it's like a little bit bigger than a deck of cards. And it has an AI assistant inside of it. Now, a lot of people were like, why don't you do this as an app? And they were like, well, we didn't want to do an app. Like, we wanted this to be where you can just have your AI buddy in the palm of your hand. It's got a tiny little touch screen, a scroll wheel, a click button, and a camera. That is it for input. And they, instead of doing a large language model, Rabbit OS runs off the large action model. So it learns, instead of like how you're phrasing things, it learns how you do things, how you want tasks to be completed. And they have a website that you can log into, the Rabbit Hole. You can see where they really leaned into the branding here. And the Rabbit Hole is kind of like the repository of your memories and things that you've asked, and you can access it on your computer. And they recently released the Rabbit Intern. And the Rabbit Intern is an AI assisting tool where it can be like, hey, I want to code a website. There are other tools. Replit is one that comes to mind where you can be like, I want this project, and it will build front and back end the whole thing for you, and then be like, go make your tweaks and you can publish it. I would bet solid money that at some point when Rabbit fully starts to get off the ground, Apple will swoop in and buy them.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen that happen before too. We've seen it
Siri
happen.
Siri was originally an app. I remember
Right.
downloading it and being like, "Oh, this is dope." And it was really ahead of its time.
And
then
then Apple bought it and it went to crap.
Apple bought it and it was neutered within 2 months because it disappeared off my phone. They were like, due to contractual obligations, we can no longer offer this app. And I'm like, all right, who bought it? And then boom, Apple's like, introducing Siri. I'm like, you didn't make anything. Once
Yeah.
again,
This is
you're
what
like
Apple does.
you're like the Yankees. You didn't nurture talent, you just bought it.
No, I'm sorry. I think he meant the Dodgers.
No, I meant the Yankees. I definitely meant the Yankees. The
Oh,
Dodgers actually puts money into their farm team. The Yankees are like, yeah, you're gonna absolutely play for us. Yeah. Hey, how much did that guy want? Yeah, just give it to him. It's fine.
perfect. All right, we got to take a break. We come back. I want to find out. Shawn was involved in a project. I know that you spent, part of the Memorial Day doing a little cruising, right? You sent me a picture of the big RV, but now you're what? You're putting solar panels on it?
Well, so it came with solar when we bought it, right? It came with a 200-watt solar panel on the roof, wired into a solar controller, wired into the battery.
Right.
But it was designed for lead acid or AGM batteries.
Right.
So there's a new battery chemistry called lithium iron phosphate,
Right.
which is the biggest benefit is the weight difference. The same capacity from a lead acid battery that weighs 60 to 70 pounds, you get in a 30 to 40 pound battery now. So the weight savings alone is incredible. The density is incredible. I bought a 100 amp hour battery.
Uh-huh.
Compared in the same size as to a lead acid battery, I get about another day's worth of use out of it before I have to charge it or before I have to run the generator. But I had to basically rewire my camper because
All right, we got to take a break. We want you to tell us the rest of that
will.
when we come back with Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin. Let me find us on the web at techtalkradio.com. We'll be right back.
So before the break, we were talking a little bit about what I was doing for my camper. So I have a Forest Reverse No Boundary 19.3. That's just a tow behind camper.
Right.
It's a little bit more of the off-grid style. Came with 200 watts of Go solar power, which is another solar company brand. And I had put in a deep cycle AGM battery. So you
Like
get about...
let me ask you, what that solar that came with it, what would that power? Like,
Oh, it would just charge it would keep the battery topped off. So that would
Right.
power the fridge in my camper is 12 volt. It would power my 12 volt to AC inverter. It would power all of the 12 volt outlets, the fridge, the reefer, the fridge and the reefer, the same thing. The water heater, the water pump, etc. So basically keeping everything I need in the camper to be boondocking.
so you would keep your reefer in the fridge?
Yes.
Sorry,
It's
I
not
couldn't
legal in
resist
Indiana, everybody.
that Cheech and Chong moment.
Not legal in Indiana, by the way. They call it the reefer. It's just what the industry
know.
calls refrigerators. But the
Uh-huh.
only version of the fridge in that camper is 12 volt. There's no propane or it's just propane. It's just 12 volt, no propane option.
Yeah.
So we were running into an issue where if we weren't running the generator and we had the fridge on and we were charging our devices, by the time it would get to 4, 5, 6 in the morning, before the sun came back up, we were running low, and it was the lead acid battery or the AGM battery we had was getting too low on voltage, and it was causing some issues. So we upgraded to the lithium iron phosphate, which supplies the same voltage no matter at the same for the most amount of time that it's charged.
Mhm.
But the solar controller I had and the AC to DC converter did not support the proper charging voltage for lithium iron phosphate batteries because it requires a higher charging voltage to maintain its lifespan and stuff like that. So I had to buy a new solar controller. I had to buy a new AC to DC converter and basically rewire the entire internals of my camper.
Oh man.
I did that Wednesday and Thursday night before we left on Friday for our camping trip.
Were you a little worried that maybe it wasn't going to work?
Right. I was waiting for the specific piece to come in, and it didn't get there until Wednesday night. And then I got to work, wired it in, tested it some stuff, made sure it ran okay, no fires, nothing, everything like that. But so now I have 400 watts of solar on the roof, charging this battery. So they're in parallel, two 200 watt panels in parallel. It's pushing about 28 watts at full power. So it's charging it nicely, and now we can get 2 to 3 days almost.
That's
without
cool.
having at full charge, being conservative with our power usage, not running the water pump all the time or those kind of things. But
Well, it's got to be better to not worry about being somewhere and suddenly just not having the power. This way,
but also while you're driving,
yeah,
it's not tied into my truck, so it's not pulling 12 volts from my truck. It's just using the sun or to charge. So if you're in an occluded place like a campground that has a lot of trees and stuff, you're not going to get nominal draw.
Right.
But while you're driving, or if you're just boondocking and you don't have trees or anything above you, you're going to be just fine. So my goal is to add another 100 amp hour battery and put that in parallel also. So I have 200 amp hours of storage total, which would probably get me about 3 to 4 days total, with
Nice.
minimal draw. I know that my uncle has a 400 amp hour and he gets 5 to 6 days with minimal draw. Um, and so yeah, it's just nice because I can also take that off and use it
Right.
at home. So if I
Does
if
it
I,
you
if I
does it add a lot of load though to the trailer itself?
no, the like I said, the actually I'm reducing weight based off the battery weight because the lead acid battery was almost 60 pounds ish, and these batteries are much lighter. So if I had a second battery, I'd probably be back up to where I was with just the one battery.
Oh, nice.
How often are you guys going camping every year?
We go about 6 or 7 times a year.
Nice.
Yeah,
That makes
we've already
sense.
gone. We've already gone 4 this year.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, and we've got another one coming up this week, and then we're going for the 4th of July, and then we're going for we're going like we're probably going to go 8 or 9 times this year.
We did Memorial Day, but it got cut short, and then we're going for 4th of July for Lee's birthday. We went up to Wellington Lake, and we were supposed to be there Friday through Monday. And Saturday, I was just getting a weird feeling and got like the ghost of 1 bar of reception, just enough to check the weather.
Right.
And it was like, hey, just letting you know, in about 3 hours, it's going to start thunderstorming. And then the rest of the time we were there, here's what the weather was going to be: thunderstorm, rainstorm, snowstorm, thunderstorm, rainstorm, thunderstorm. I was like, alternatively, let's
Thunder
leave.
snow.
Wow.
Let's just leave, because the last,
Mhm.
like, getting out of there is a super tight dirt switchback mountain road that just there's on the side is just gravity. I was like, ideally, I don't want to be here when that's wet.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Are you guys like this the road warrior portion of this? How would I, as somebody who has a wife that says she never wants to go camping, she likes to stay in a hotel, that kind of thing. How would I convince her to try and do something like this? Is it a matter
Ah,
of just renting one
ah.
or what?
So this is something that my wife and I have been discussing. When we were younger, we were outdoorsy. Now we are outsidesy. And there is a difference. Like, outdoorsy is like, I don't mind the tent. I don't mind, sleeping in the sleeping bag. Like, if it gets cold, we'll deal with it. Like, we're going to rough it. No, what you need to look up is called glamping, Glamping.
All
And that
right.
is for glorious camping. And the best one that I've seen was somewhere here in Colorado. And instead of like renting a campsite, you rented a campsite that had a fully furnished, heated and cooled yurt.
Mm-hmm.
It had a shower. It had a full queen size bed in there. Like, a yurt is, it was what I think the Mongolians used for theirs, and
The
it was
big round tents.
You are
yeah, it's just
such
a big
a
round tent.
zennial.
Right.
Um, yeah, technically, thank you. I am closer to Gen X than Gen Z. I am an elder millennial. Bite me. Um,
Excuse me? I'm older than you and I'm a millennial.
I'm older than all of you.
But no, seriously, it's glamping is kind of a new thing where like you get a site that's got like this really nice, fully furnished place for you to stay. It's got all the amenities, but then like there'll be a lake nearby, there's camping trails, but when you're done for the day, you can go shower, you've got like a full kitchen in some of these. So I know the Hip Camp app has a lot of those, and that's one that we have done before.
I think that would be fun to try.
Yeah,
At
if you
least.
want something a little less glampy than that, you can travel and do the KOA cabins around the country.
Oh yeah.
We did those a lot growing up when we traveled
Yeah.
out west. We would travel, we would camp, but we would stay if we needed to stay for one night. Just pull in. It's a cabin. It's got a bathroom, a shower. And it so KOAs are all over the country. And the CEO of KOA is a Notre Dame grad, so that's part of it. That's cool.
Yeah, I
too.
think there's some KOAs here, even here in Arizona, that have been very popular out near Grand Canyon, that kind of thing.
But every national park, at most of the national parks, not all of them, have these glamping options where you can pay and have these nice amenities relatively close and convenient for you to still experience the park.
Right.
There's also things like Cruise America where you can rent an RV for a
Yeah,
little
I've
bit
heard
of
of
time.
those. I've heard of
That's
those,
another
yeah.
one.
Yeah, but
So there's
you got to be careful with those because
Mhm.
it's just like U-Haul. Anybody can rent one, and you get a lot of dum-dums that don't know how tall an RV is
Oh yeah, we've
or how
seen that.
big an
Well,
RV is.
not even that. It's also like a lot of like Airbnb I've heard, where they'll you get hit with one fee, and even though you take meticulous care of it, you turn it back. They're like, we're gonna charge you a $500 cleaning fee.
Whoa, yeah, that's not good. That's
Yeah.
not
Excuse,
good.
excuse me, sir. We found one speck of sand inside this vehicle. That's going to be
We found
$600.
we found a dog hair, one single dog hair. It's gonna be $500 to clean that up.
Why do you become the leader of the Island of Misfit Toys there, Matt? When you have authority.
I
'Cause
don't
it's
know,
funny.
because it's funny.
All
It's
right.
it's going to be interesting. The new job I got, I'm eventually going to have 4 direct reports, and I'm actually going to have authority, and I'm not used to that.
You've got to do it. You've got to do
Ooh.
your reports in those voices, though. That's perfect.
Excuse me, you didn't finish the cover sheet on your TPS report?
If you could just come in on Saturday, that'd be great.
Oh my God!
Thanks.
Did you guys see the news? Stephen Root, the guy who played Melton on Office Space, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Stephen Root is now going to be playing the father to the character Stephen Tudyk plays on Resident Alien on Sci-Fi, which comes back for a brand new season this week, as a matter of fact.
Such a good show.
I love the show. If you've missed it, Netflix, you can see the previous seasons. But Stephen Root will be playing his dad,
Oh,
the
God.
alien's dad. So that's going to be good. All right, here's a question. We got a listener question. We got a couple of them for today, but I wanted to share this one at least from Jerry. He sent it in. It says, "Hi Andy. As you may know by now, I don't have my Windows 95 and printer any longer." And he put an LOL. "I bought it from you, and you set it up back in the mid 90s."
No, sounds like your problem, Andy.
He said, "So I have a question to ask. What is the real deal that would work best for my 2 monitors and 2 PCs? I'd like to only use 1 keyboard and 1 mouse. I've looked on Amazon and Dell, get no help. I want it to be cheap and easiest to use." So he has 2 PCs. He wants to use 1 keyboard, 1 mouse.
KVM.
A KVM switch? They still
Mouse
make
and
those?
keyboard without borders.
Mouse? That's software, isn't it?
What?
It is.
Yeah. Mouse and keyboard. Have you ever heard of that? Mouse and keyboard without borders?
I've not heard of that.
Yeah. It's like a
There,
software you put
there's
on
also Synergy is another app that does something similar. I had a client use that once. They had their design PC and then their standard work PC, and he would just 1 mouse and keyboard drag it all the way across, and it'd just hop over to the other side.
You know, before we continue this conversation, I just want to say this is funny because I sound like the old guy here. I mentioned KVM. Andy immediately says, "They still make those?" And then Sean's like, "Mouse and keyboard without borders." And then Matt's like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah, something else." I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I'm the old guy here."
Yeah, I'm wondering though, it's harder because this would have to be a wired keyboard and wired mouse to work with a KVM, wouldn't it? Or do they do
No, the
So
KVMs
you
have USB.
so the mouse without borders is a software. You
All
run
right.
it on both machines. You basically hook up both computers to the 2 screens you want to use, and then you activate the software. And then as you cross over to the edge of your screen, it just hops over. The software takes over, and it moves the keyboard and the mouse input over to the other computer
That's
Oh,
actually kind of
seamlessly.
cool.
seamlessly.
it's kind of cool, but it's kind of
So it is
because I
kind of
could see
weird,
me
but
doing it by accident all the time.
sure.
Why
So
my mouse working?
that's the cheapest. I think it's free even.
Right.
But if you want a physical one, then you'll have to take you'll get a box or a little server, and then you have a console module and a target module. We have a big KVM system at work, so I have a lot of experience with this. And then you take the physical outputs, the DVI or HDMI or whatever, into that box, and then the output of that box goes to your monitor. And then you
All
either
right.
have a physical selection box where you press a button and it changes, or it's a software where you can get to the edge of your screen and it automatically takes over, and same thing, it just moves between the 2 screens. So you have options, just how
All
much
right.
you want to pay and how much hassle do you want to have.
Well, there you go, Jerry. Mouse without borders. We're going to take another quick break. We come back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I want to show you guys something I've been working on, and I'm kind of excited about it. We'll do that when we come back. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Send us an X at Tech Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
So earlier in this Justin, with Harry Potter and the audacity of this dude, decided to call me a Zennial. I
Yeah.
would like to point out that Zennials are born between 93 and 98. And I was definitely walking the world at that point. And then we discussed this off the air for a minute, and Shawn was like, well, I'm not a millennial. I was born, in the late 80s.
Right.
Millennials are 81 to 96. Gen X was 65 to 80. And Gen Z, which they're now calling Zoomers, which I think is hilarious
Oh
for the
man.
connotations of that, is 97 to 2012.
I was born in 81, so I'm a
Wait.
millennial.
So what am I? I was 62. I'm before all that.
62, I have some bad news, Boomer.
Boomer.
Baby boomers are 46 to 64.
Oh boy.
Wait, what
That-
was 64 to the next one?
65 to 80 was Gen X.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right, Gen X. Okay, yeah.
Gen X.
I would like to point out that that is the most Gen X thing ever, the forgotten generation. Like I had mentioned it and I was like, wait, what was that other one? Oh yeah, Gen X existed.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
just sit quietly in the
I was-
corner.
I always growing up, I always considered myself to be Gen X because I didn't know the exact cutoff. But honestly, dude, January 20th of 81, come on, dude. I'm literally on the cusp of being Gen X.
So there is actually inside inside of sociology there is subgenerations that they call cusps. And if you are in that spot, then you are a cusp between Gen X and millennial because you got a little bit of their experience and a little
Yep.
bit of the next gen's experience.
Yep.
Okay.
I do not fall close enough to be a cusp of a zennial.
I definitely do.
Thank you very much. You missed it by like a couple weeks. So you definitely fall in the cusp area.
So if
But
I was
then
born 2 years later, I'd be a Boomer Z.
Boomer X.
You'd be a boomer X.
Boomer X. All right. Boom X.
But the other thing that we kind of talked about during the break that Shawn had brought up was the difference between like millennials and our internet experience growing up. Like I still could mimic the dial-up noise from that modem because it is so ingrained for like that meant you were getting online, followed by if you did AOL, you've got mail. Like
No, hold
that,
on. I can do that one. You've
Go-
got mail.
there it
It
is.
sounded like it too.
But I mean, that Web 1.0 was so wildly different. Like you had the handful of websites that everyone knew, and now you've got a different, what are we at? Like Web 3.0 at this point is what they're calling it. But everyone has this wildly different experience of internet life. And part of it, Shawn was bringing up, it might be regional. Like, somebody in the Midwest is going to look up something different than someone in New York, than somebody in Texas. But the biggest change is the algorithm. The algorithms drive your web experience, whether you want it to or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. So you mean like you live in, say you lived in New York City versus living in Florida, Miami. You have been probably fed something different.
100%.
Absolutely. I mean, things that you look up locally, inside the algorithm, if you go to, okay, I go to this website, there are tags associated with that. And it's like, okay, he went to website X, which has tags 1, 2, 3. Then he went to website Z, which has tags 2, 3, and 7. And it starts compiling. And it's like, oh, okay. So Matt's interested in 1, 7, 14, and the letter Q. Like those are what I'm going to start punching in his feeds. So you have the regional influence for what you're going to natively be looking for that feeds the algorithm. The algorithm then drives the content that's sent to you. So while it is, I mean, my wife and I, for example, we joke about the difference in our algorithms. Like she gets like lots of pottery, ceramic artists, like lots of more artistic stuff. Mine is like 60% corgis, 15% firearms, and the remainder is like dad jokes for some reason. Although it occasionally throws with the dad jokes, it occasionally throws one in there that I'm like, well, that one was wildly out of pocket. There's the one for the day. So it really is a completely different web experience between what we grew up with and what the kids are growing up with now.
But all right, so what was faster, 300 baud or 28.8? Because remember,
20,
28.8,
28.8 and then 56K.
then 56K. So you had
In
150, 300.
because 28.8 was 28,800
Right.
baud.
Yeah, but if you ask somebody, they might go, "Oh no, 300 must have been bigger, must have been better." No, it just sounded better.
Those are the same people that thought a Wendy's third pounder was worse than a
That's
McDonald's quarter pounder or whatever. What was it? Yeah.
it's quarter
yeah,
pounder.
yeah.
You're right. They thought
Yep.
a Wendy's third pounder was less meat than a McDonald's
Well, people also
pounder.
thought the half pounder was less than the quarter pounder because the number was bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
That's the
you
whole
wanted,
thing about the Wendy's. Yeah.
yeah, it's people just
Yeah.
think big number mean big
People
speed.
are okay. Hold on. We can just sum this up as people are dumb.
Yeah.
Well,
and okay, the
considering
other question now, because we brought it up, why did you got mail go away? Because
Why did what?
Why did you got mail go away? There was
the
something
movie,
nice. No, not the movie. The
Well,
thing.
because AOL went away.
Why did AOL go away? This should've been
Because
around
they
for a
were
long time.
mismanaged. They were bought by Time Warner Interactive.
Ooh,
They were
yeah.
mismanaged. Dude, I worked for AOL. I saw the downfall of that company when
Right.
I was working there.
I
And then also not only just that, is because the dial-up era was over. They tried launching a high-speed internet service back in early 2001 or 2002, and it failed miserably because they had to make contracts with the major ISPs that were already established. So you're basically tacking on top of an additional ISP. Their whole business model was based on dial-up, and once dial-up went dead, nobody wanted them
To be
anymore.
fair, they kind of were the first software as a service.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
were,
that's
really.
right. You're right. Yes.
Yeah.
so fun little fact, I actually grew up about 10 minutes away from AOL World Headquarters, which was in Ashburn, Virginia, and it was a giant sprawling complex.
Yes, with armed guards. I've been there.
They're still around. They have like one building from that entire complex, and Raytheon bought the rest of it.
Oh,
So
you're kidding
the
me.
funny story is when I worked for AOL, I did have a chance to go to that complex as an employee because they randomly picked like, I don't know, 100 people to go.
Right.
And I got to go to the complex, and it was, which is the best part about it, was you go into like the quote unquote, and I'm doing air quotes here, headquarters of AOL. And there it's this big, beautiful waiting room, big, huge lobby, and the behind you is like this glass wall of all these blinky server lights, and it's like, I mean, it looks just amazing. It looks like a data center, right?
Yeah.
This is like a lot of people's first ever experience looking at a data center. It's just a bunch of computers with blinky lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they brought us back and they gave us the tour. They told us the tour. And then they said, okay, now that you guys are employees, we're going to take you to the real data center.
Wait, it wasn't the real data center?
No, that was all just, that was literally just a wall of blinky lights. Like they took us behind it and there was no servers. It was just
Oh,
a
I
wall
love
of
it.
blinky lights. So what they did is they actually made us wear blindfolds. They put us on a bus and they took us to an undisclosed location, which is probably what Matt is talking about.
Right.
And when we got off the bus, there was armed guards, and it was a giant warehouse with these massive, like it looked like furnaces, like inside, like
Oh,
these big,
wow.
huge smokestack furnaces
Cooling towers.
and cooling. Well, but inside the warehouse, like you walk in, it looks like a blast furnace.
Right.
But inside of the blast furnace was all of the servers. And that is the true, at the time, that was the true AOL headquarters.
Kind of wonder if server rooms have changed much because
Oh,
of
absolutely.
AI. I mean, I'm sure everything's
I don't know about
smaller.
that.
Now, I would think now it's kind of growing again because
No, they're growing exponentially.
there's so much data now that AI is consuming and having to do that. That's where we're going to see a lot of it going into that.
It
When I
actually,
was working in television, we went to our data center was in Dallas, Texas. This data center, you had to basically give up the rights to your firstborn child just to enter the property.
Wow.
I mean, it was biometric. It was eye scanning. It was multiple badges. It was DNA. I mean, they literally took a blood sample from you to
What?
put on record in case,
Wow.
there was an accident inside the data center and your blood was found there. They knew who was there.
Make you
But no,
disappear. Yeah.
but our cabinet for the TV station was literally next door to Facebook and Google.
Oh wow.
So
It's-
yeah.
That what you're talking about, like the growth of the data centers. It's so where AOL was located in Ashburn, Virginia, um, a minute up the road was the old headquarters for ACI WorldCom, MCI WorldCom.
Oh wow.
Was right up the road from there. And growing up, that area it was farmland and nothing. I still remember the road. It's off Waxpool Road, off Route 28 in Ashburn, Virginia. And that area exploded. And it is now one of the more expensive places to try and live and buy a house because it is basically Silicon Valley on the East Coast. Because the main fiber line, the Trans-Pacific fiber line, comes into San Francisco, and then it splits into three trunks. You've got the northern, the central, and the southern trunk. Northern trunk goes up kind of along the Great Lakes area, starts curving back down. Central line goes straight through Denver all the way across, and the southern line goes down through Texas and then curves back up. Those three main fiber trunks rejoin in Ashburn, Virginia, and then become the transatlantic fiber line. So whenever you're looking on like AWS or Azure or Google Cloud and you see like US East 1, US East 2, that's all in Ashburn. It is the land of data centers. All this
Yep.
open land, like you can pick up a rock on Waxpool Road, wing it through the sky as hard as you can, and it will cross 3 different data centers before it hits the ground.
Wow. Amazing.
Yep.
All right, I got to show you something, guys, before we go to break here. I decided to bite the bullet and give it a shot. MoCA, that's MOCA, Multimedia over Coax Alliance, and see if it really is as fast as everybody says. It connects to your router, coax, or your modem, I should say, and then it has a backfeed that goes into your router, and then your router can then you put it a second unit in another room with coax. So you're basically using your coax that's been wired in your home, which a lot of us don't use anymore, to be your kind of your cable provider for your internet. And this is 2.5. They say it'll get 2.5 gigahertz of speed, low latency,
Gigahertz or gigabits?
gigabits. So 2.5 gigabits, low latency. And I'm going to give it a shot and fully test it out, but we'll see. And if so, a kit is about $117. So you figure how many coax outlets do you have that you need? Better than Powerline. I don't know if it's going to be better than Wi-Fi. People are saying it is. So MoCA, MOCA. You can find more info on our website. I featured it on TV this past week, so something to look at. We can take a break. We come back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. You can also find us on Facebooks/Tech Talkers. We'll be right back.
I have been working pretty feverishly and updating my studio here. The studio for Tech Talk Radio and some of the other stuff I do. I have got on the wall movie posters. I love movie posters. Used to collect them all the time. I've got the movie Into the Night, which was a John Landis film starring Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Pfeiffer. You also had David Bowie in the movie. You had Carl Perkins. I mean, just a huge cast. And I love the movie. So I have that in here. I also have Talk Radio. You remember that movie, Talk Radio, which was Eric Bogosian. I think it was an Oliver Stone movie, and it was just about talk radio but it's actually based on the story of a guy, a Chicago, Colorado radio host that was murdered. And it's actually pretty good. So I want to get a movie poster in here now that deals with tech, or even a poster from a TV series. And I'm thinking, what would be the best one to get? Like, what movie would look great as a movie poster or TV series? And I mean, there's a lot of them out there. Do you guys have favorites?
Oh, tons. I've got a
Yeah?
lot of favorites. There's one that I really liked growing up as a kid. It came out in 1985. It's called Daryl.
Daryl.
Oh,
It's basically about a 9-year-old kid who's actually a robot that gets basically lost, finds a family, gets adopted, and like then they
He's
had
a
to
robot?
try and track him down. Yeah, it's a really great movie. It's like it's about the kid learning how to be a kid because instead of a robot, but it came out in 1985. It's called Daryl. Trying to
Who
remember
do
what
you
the
know who's
acronym
in it?
actually
Is
stands
it?
for.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's got
Oh
Mary
man.
Beth Hurt, Michael Keaton, Catherine Walker.
Oh wow. I've never seen it. I'm gonna have to look for that one.
Yeah, that was a classic one.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
I'm gonna go 1983 Matthew Broderick War Games.
Well, yeah.
Would you
was
like to play a game? Sometimes.
But
All right, what was the name of the computer? Do you remember?
A game?
The Whomper.
That Whopper. You got it. Yes. Yep. All right. I
Oh,
like war
I'm gonna
games.
have to go a little bit more recent.
Really?
One of my favorite tech shows, Mr. Robot.
I knew you were gonna do Mr. Robot.
Wonder if they make a poster for that one.
Oh, of course they do.
Yeah. Some of the other ones I was looking at. Hackers was pretty good. Short Circuit. Remember that one, Johnny Five?
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Number
Johnny
5 is
Five.
alive.
Matrix.
Johnny Five is alive.
Would The Matrix be considered a tech movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
2001: A Space Odyssey. That's going way back.
I
Ghost
went
in the
on
Shell.
went on a Sandra Bullock kick not that long ago. The
Did
Net.
you really? Yeah.
Ooh, the net's a good one.
Ready Player One.
Oh my God. Yes, of course. Ready Player One.
That would
The
be good.
book, the book was better. I'll
Yes,
die
the
on that
book was,
hill.
yes, yes, me too. Me too.
How
The book
about
was way better.
Sneakers? Sneakers, is that any good?
Sneakers is good.
Yeah. And then the one movie that I thought we should really give credence to, it's what happens when you don't pay the one IT guy that works for your company enough money or
Sure.
give him enough respect.
Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm on his side at this point.
Yeah.
One other one, and it's another older one. It's 95, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh, yeah. All right, we'll get maybe I can get all of them. We'll see if they'll all fit in here. That's it for this week's Tech Talk Radio. Next week on the show, we're going to tell you a little bit about the new documentary, all about going postal, about one of the big video games that got turned into a movie, and we may even get the filmmakers on the show. So again, that'll be a lot of fun. We're also have an author who's written a book all about Alanis Morissette. There you go. We'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio next week. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones.
And I'm Justin. Let me once again find us on the web at techtalkradio.com. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you.